I'm really sorry I'm coming right before lunch and I can't see anybody. So if you can see me, that's great. Um, I'm going to try to keep it light and entertaining. Also, I really thank three of my previous colleagues that came before me, Mino and Dr. Rita Davis and can't remember. And Kevin. Yeah, Kevin. Sorry, Kevin. They made my job so easy because they kind of covered half of what I'm going to present. So I'm just like, wow, fantastic. I don't really have to work so hard. So anyway, just to give you a little bit of a context, I am a parent, a very proud parent of a young man with autism. I wear that crown, and that's what brought me to this field. And also, I am an educator and been working in the field for the past 25 years and a behavioral therapist. And I'm just going to walk you through the journey that has transformed over the past 25 years. In the beginning, I'm going to go through the different stages that made me arrive to where I am today. And we're going to start by just simple statements that we all know as people that have worked in the field. And I am no expert. It's ever evolving. Everybody that works in this field knows that we learn something new every day. So, but I do believe, this is one of the things I do believe, that for us to be able to work, we have to know that kids with, or individuals with autism or any other intellectual disability are people. That's it, simple. And I thank Dr. Rita Davis. She really put it in a very, very fantastic way when she edited her speech to us today. They're children. What are they? They're just children. So they're real people in our real life. That's who they are. It's not going. Okay. So because they're people, and because we're people, we know that there isn't one size that fits all. Everybody learns differently, and we have to cater to their learning. So, since my son was diagnosed back in '94 till today, there are several methodologies that came to light, and we know them all. Some are scientifically proven, some are not, and even the scientifically proven one had to go through several stages for them to be where they are today. But all of them have common denominators. They all we're working on behavior, language skills, social skills, and adaptive skills, right? Do we all agree with that? That's why we do what we do. The master, what we all believe in and what we all agree on, that applied behavior analysis is a scientifically proven methodology that works with the majority of children. Can we agree on that? We all agree that applied behavior analysis is something that is scientifically proven, it works on children, and a lot of people is now the go-to. Governments have implemented it. I know where I live in Canada, the province of Ontario has put a lot of money in training and implementing what we call IBI, which is exactly ABA. They just adapted it to called IBA, Independent Behavior Intervention. So it's exactly ABA. You have to be a BCBA to supervise it. It's exactly, but it is the methodology that's used or approved even by certain countries right now. There's another methodology that you're going to be hearing about after lunch, and I was so excited when I read about this because I don't have to explain it. Somebody who's a professional who does this for a living is going to explain it. But I had the privilege to be trained under it as well for a period of time, and it comes out of my university that I did something else with, not education. It's called TEACH methodology. And TEACH is interesting because It looks at a child's learning from a different perspective than ABA. And you're going to learn all about Teach this afternoon. But I like Teach in a certain way because it's a little bit easier to adapt in a normal, typical classroom. And, and Teach it learns through a system. And in a country like India, where academia is so important, you're going to find Teach extremely interesting when you hear about it this afternoon. The Miller method. Very few people maybe know about this method. I also have implemented this method on my son, and I trained under this method, and I use this method at some times, especially with young children who have body awareness issues and concentration issues. This method was put together by a late doctor who passed away about 2 years ago. His name is Dr. Arnold Miller. Dr. Arnold Miller is from Boston, and he founded the Language and Cognitive Development Center, LDCD, and he just through his work, he found out that when you elevate a child about 50 or 60 centimeters from the ground, they happen to concentrate a little bit better. So he created something called the elevated square, and where he would place obstacles along the way, and through that, he will teach different skills. And it is really beneficial, but the idea is after you teach those methodologies or these strategies, you will take them down to the ground. And it does work, and it is adaptable to different learning. There is a reason why I'm sharing all this. Of course, what I've shared with you are different methodologies, but we also use something to communicate. And there are many other methodologies out there, but the ones I chose are more of the scientifically based methodologies. PECS, the picture exchange. And the picture exchange is a very, very interesting system that I use all the time, because this is what most of us use, because pictures are universal. Whether a child with autism has language or doesn't have language, pictures are, we all know a picture of a sign of a toilet, no matter where we go, is the same sign of a toilet, whether we are in Japan, we are in India, we are in Canada, it's exactly the same, it's universal. So, and it has phases. As a matter of fact, PECS and applied behavior analysis have similar phases of mastering, which makes it really, really interesting. Why am I giving you this context right now? I'm giving you this context to say that all these methodologies, whether we're using ABA, Teach, Miller method, and using the communication of PECS, they're all very, very useful and can be integrated. At least that's my belief. This is what I found in my practice. This is what I found in my learning and my teaching. I have learned when I deal with an individual that I don't have to only use one methodology, and I found a lot of success with that. Before we start implementing any methodology, we have to do an assessment, right? Some of us do the assessment ourselves, and others have other colleagues that work with us to do the assessment for us. For instance, when I went and visited Amrit's school, and I had the privilege of visiting the learning center that runs under the umbrella of the India Autism Society, I asked who does the assessment. There are supervisors that do the assessment. So there are different assessments that we use. Some of us use the ABLES if we're doing ABA. I use also the Miller Diagnostic Survey if I'm using the Miller method. I use the Support Intensity Scale for a little bit, children that are a little bit older. The PPVT, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, for language development. Or any other assessment tool that is out there. Why do we need, you know, to use assessments? We use assessments to get to know the child. And taking time to talk to parents, I found, is a lot, even though we use the assessments, we get the basics. What I found in my practice that gives me the most information is taking the time to talk to the parents. And although we get valuable information from assessment tools, we get valuable information from the methodology we used, what I wanted to really relate today, that what I've learned the most from all the years of me working in this field as a classroom teacher, as a consultant, as a behavioral therapist, that without the impact of the parents, without the impact of the caregiver, what I find on paper, all the hours I'm spending with the ABLEs trying to get the child to copy or do the different strategies that I'm trying to implement, don't really give me the full and true picture. So listening to the parent and the caregiver about what their child can do and cannot do is really, truly, truly important. So I have developed or put together, along with a lot of my colleagues, not alone, something else. I've put together another additional supplementary tool that I take the time to say to parents, I want to know what your child likes. Let me know a little bit more about your child. And today, I had somebody else, another colleague in this environment that says they do the same. Tell me what puts the glitter in your child's eye. And that is so important because we put the humanity back in what we are doing. I had the pleasure of becoming very good friends with Dr. Liliana, who you're going to listen to tomorrow. And when I was trying to tell her what I was trying to do, and she said, you know what you're trying to do, Rima? You're trying to put humanity back in ABA. And I was like, fantastic, great. That's something amazing that somebody thinks that's what I'm trying to do. That's not what I thought I was trying to do. But through my explanation, this is what she got of what I was explaining what I do. So what I do is I take the time to try to find out more about the students that I'm going to take on by finding out what they would like. It takes a little bit more time. I'm not going to tell you that this process does not take time, but it teaches me which direction I need to go. So I start a questionnaire, and these are the sub-questions, but I'm going to give you the titles. So I start with something that says, what do you like? So I explore hobbies, community events, things that the individual likes. What does he find relaxing? What does he like to accomplish, etc. And then I have subcategories. So I go, just to help the parent along, I ask, well, tell me about their recreational activities. Tell me what does he like when it comes to spirituality. Spirituality does not mean a religious activity. We all have different things that we like to do. Some of us like to relax by meditating. Some of us like to relax by reading a book. Some of us, whatever it is that we like to just take, switch off and relax by, listening to music, whatever it is. Financial material. Financial material, I'm not talking about, tell me your bank account. I'm talking about if you take him to the supermarket, what would he like to buy? If it's his birthday, what does he like to get as a gift? What is it that makes him happy that we can purchase for him or can be bought financially? Family and friends. Who does he connect with the family? Is it a cousin? Is it a grandparent? Is it one of the parents? Is it a support worker? Who is it? What is a self-development skill that you think that's his next achievement that is gonna happen, that you think he's working towards naturally? And something else that I have not thought about. And I go through that process with the caregiver and the parents. And if the person that I'm dealing with is older, then they are answering these questions. And then I have other subcategories, other titles that I have the same subcategories with. Things I like. So exactly, what do you like? Things I like. I have a great day when. Again, I have a great day when I go for a walk. I have a great day when I play an instrument. I have a great day when I go to a mass service in the morning. I have a great day when I have a bowl of spaghetti. Whatever it is that gives me a great day. Like I had a great day yesterday when I had a foot massage for the first time in my life. It was fantastic. Things that give me a bad day. Especially with our population, we don't know why they're having a bad day. Especially us as therapists, us as teachers. We have no idea. We're always assuming, or we think we know. If we have a little bit of context about what might have given them a bad day, my son can have a bad day if the label on his t-shirt has not been cut, and sometimes I forget to cut it. That can really give him a bad day. So, something simple like that. One of the hard ones that we forget to ask about, what is my goal? What is my dream? What is the goal? How many of you are parents? How many of you are parents of neurotypical children? How many of you are parents of neurotypical children when they got to the age of 1 or 2 or 3, you ask them, what do you want to do when you grow up? We all ask our children, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or if we don't ask them, their grandparents ask them, their neighbor asks them, their somebody that visits asks them. They tell you because they hear it on TV, they read it in a book. A lot of children's books talk about what do you want to be when you grow up. We hardly ever ask our child with disability, cognitive disability, what do you want to be when you grow up? It doesn't even cross our radar. They have goals. And these goals are important. And I ask them because if he says, if you ask my son, what do you want to be when you grow up? He will tell you, I want to be Popeye. That's his idol. But I think of other goals that can get him to be Popeye, the sailor man. Well, to be Popeye, the sailor man, I'll get him to eat spinach. It's a goal. Eating healthy vegetable. It's a goal to ride on a boat. He's a sailor. It's a goal to ride a horse. There are so many things in that cartoon that can get you to be Popeye the sailor. So these are the goals. What are my gifts and talents? A lot of parents with children with autism forget to look at their kids' gifts and talents. When you ask them, what does your kid like to do? Like to listen to music, like to watch, likes YouTube. How does he watch YouTube? Have we ever looked how does he watch YouTube? I'm going to tell you something. My son of 27 years old, when he was 5 years old, I took him to Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, and I told who was nonverbal at the time, I told the doctor, I think my son knows how to read. And the doctor looked me in the face and laughed. They looked me in the face and laughed. Because when my son was diagnosed, he was diagnosed below the first percentile, and I was offered to put him in an institution called Thistletown in Toronto, who is now, I'm proud to say, is closed. It no longer exists. And I was offered to put him, he was below the first percentile, and I was told he will never be able to do anything. I told him, I looked at him and I said, Dr. Burrell, my son can read. And he said, exactly like this. And he said, what makes you think your child can read? And I said, he put back then, in 1996, there was no CDs. There was a floppy disk. Reader Rabbit, the program, came on a floppy disk. My son took a floppy disk and put it in the computer and followed the prompts and started playing Reader Rabbit on my house computer. At least the computer I had in my home did not have a CD. It had a floppy disk. And I didn't know how he did that. I walked into the room and I found my son playing Reader Rabbit was on the screen. And I was like, oh my God, he must know how to read. So I went to the hospital to see, am I crazy or is my son reading? So I had the floppy with me and I was telling him this is what, so they put me in a room where there's a double glass, and by the time they got themselves to the other room, my son had already did this. So they accused me of have started this. And I said, I didn't. What parent wanna sabotage their child? But they're the doctors, they know best. So they moved me to another room where the first time in my life I saw this Apple Macintosh computer that looked like it has a belly. It had this big thing on the back, and it was green. It looked like something out of space. It was in this room, and they placed me with someone in this room, and they went in the back. And my son has never seen this computer before, ever in my life. I've never seen it before, so my son has never seen it before. And they placed him there, and it took him exactly 12 minutes, and he got the program started. So that made me say, what is your gift, my gift, what is his gift and talent? That my son knows how to read. I did not teach him how to read. I can't take credit for that. I read to him every night. But I did not teach him how to read. So what is your gift and talent is extremely important. And what is the routine and structure? What makes us happy in the morning? We all have our routines. Some of us wake up in the morning and go for a run. Others, we wake up and have our cup of coffee. Some of us run in the shower right away. We all have our routines. Well, they have their routines. What makes their day start? If we have all this, makes our job a lot easier. We know how to plan. And we know how to work a lot better with our client and our student. Another tool I've used that I can't take a credit for it, it's called the support intensity scale, but I adapted it. I took it and I changed it. At the support intensity scale, another tool that came out of the University of North Carolina, and it was developed by parents, and I like it because it's the only tool that I know of, and I'm no expert, that does not ask, what can't you do? It asks the question of, what support can I give you to do? So, how can I help you to do X? And I like that a lot. And it comes like this. So, in applied behavior analysis, if we are trying to teach a skill, let's choose a skill, such as going to the toilet. Whether we're going to the toilet to wash our hands or we're going to the toilet to actually use the facilities, whatever it is, what do we do? What is it called that we do? Task analysis, thank you. And then we do what we call chaining, right? And then we decide if we do forward chaining or backward chaining, depending on where the child is at, and when we do a reward, right? This is how we do it. And here, what we do is, the question becomes, is what kind of support that this child needs for him to do the activity. So how can I support this child? Am I supporting him full support, that means one like hand over hand, or am I supporting him by prompting, or am I supporting him by showing him a visual? How am I supporting? What does that support look like? And how often am I supporting him? And what type of support does he need? So this is what I use. I use that. And this is the rating scale that explains that. I need to go forward. So when I organize educational program, this is the goal that I have in mind. I need to make sure that the student has all these things in mind. I'm going to briefly tell you about a positive experience that made me implement, and I put all this in the test. In 2002, I took a sabbatical from my teaching in Canada, and I went back to my home country where I came from. I come from a country, a very, very small country that called Bahrain. And I went back in 2002, and I helped open a school, an ABA school there called Alia for Early Intervention, derivative from my son's name, Ali. And that was strictly ABA. ABC Inc., who trained me in ABA, I'd asked Dr. Joe Mauro to come and help me and help the investor there who wanted to open the school to help us open the school. And Alia for Early Intervention has won several awards in ABA. It's the only school of its kind in the Gulf, in that region, and it's going very well. And now we have also a completely a regular school that's attached to it, where we do reverse integration or reverse inclusion, where the children go to a typical school moving forward. When I was there, I met, more importantly, I met this amazing, amazing lady from England who had a son with autism, and she was really, really struggling with him, and he was a little bit older because the school we opened was early intervention. It was for ages 2 and older, so her son was a lot older than that, so he couldn't really benefit from a school like this. And she had started a daycare just to be able to do her son. So I took some time and I started training her staff and working with her son. And now her school's name is Rita, and her school's still going on. It goes up to grade 4 right now. And why I wanted to share that, because in the ABA school, I couldn't do all this in the beginning. We were just concentrating on ABA and just focusing on the one-to-one model and all that. But in her school, I got to do a lot of other things because her school was extremely extrovert. It had regular, typical children, plus it had any child that was not accepted in any other school in the Gulf. It had a lot of expat children, a lot of children that couldn't afford to attend private schools. If anybody knows anything about the Gulf, there's a lot of kids that come from other countries that could not go to the public school system because of language barriers. So it just had kids from all walks of life, from all nationalities, all languages coming to her school. So her school today has about 75 children from all abilities, all walks of life, runs on very, very little money, but was able to change the face of autism acceptance in Bahrain. And I'm going to share with you just pictures of what she was able to do. This is in the harbor front, the most expensive area in Bahrain, and they have done an art show of pottery just to raise awareness. That's her son, Osman, who is 22 years old, who's an artist who's teaching other children with other difficulties to do art and pottery. This is an article with the ambassador, the British ambassador, promoting. They have a service dog that comes in so the children can read to them in her school. And this is just one of my favorite statements, that kids with autism need to be accepted, and we need to work to make sure that they get equal pay and equal employment and equal care, just like the rest of us. And here I'm just going to share pictures of my son. This is Ali going to his day program in the morning, riding our transportation system, our GO train in the morning. This is him introducing me at one of the conferences in Toronto. This is him with his cousin at his favorite place in the world, the library. This is where we have to go every Saturday. This is us raising money for children that can't afford ABA in Toronto, for the center that I work with. It's called Behavior Innovation. Thank you very much.